If you ever call me sister again, I'll have you strangled in your sleep.
Most people watched these two women and saw a rivalry, the young rose and the old lioness, warmth against ice, a new queen rising while the old one curdled with jealousy beside the throne she used to own. Two opposites, locked in a fight to the death. Some see it as one of the best feuds the show ever wrote, and others see it as the whole point of the series, Westeros pitting its queens against each other, so neither of them ever looks up at the men who built the cage they're fighting inside. Some people just enjoyed watching them staring daggers at each other across a throne room, but they're all reading it wrong, and the show told you so. In the very first scene of Season 5, in a muddy clearing in the woods, a witch named Maggy the Frog looked a girl in the eye and promised her that one day a younger, more beautiful queen would come to cast her down and take everything she loved. Cersei spent the rest of her life hunting that queen. She armed fanatics for it. She burned a sept full of people for it, and she never once worked out the truth. Let me take you down both roads, Margaery's and Cersei's, because once you see what I'm going to show you, you will not be able to look at the series the same way again. The prophecy.
Younger, more beautiful, to cast you down and take all you hold dear.
Listen to what the witch actually promised. Not a rival army or a usurper with a banner, a queen, younger, more beautiful, who would take the crown, take the children, take everything. Cersei heard that as a death threat, and she spent years trying to find who this person was so she could destroy her before she herself was destroyed. Here's what she missed. The prophecy doesn't describe an enemy, it describes a successor. A younger, more beautiful queen isn't Cersei's opposite. She's Cersei's beginning. The same girl, married off to the same kind of person, walking the same path that turned Cersei into the woman in that sept. Both of them were the clever, beautiful daughter of a great house. Both were handed to a king to be made a queen. Both learned that the throne was the only thing worth chasing, and the marriage was the price of the ticket. Cersei wasn't trying to kill a stranger. She was trying to kill the woman she used to be. Watch the two roads run side by side, and you won't be able to unsee it. Marriage as a ladder.
Was there ever a time, ever a moment?
No.
Cersei married Robert Baratheon for one reason, and it was never love. He gave her and House Lannister a crown, and the power that went with it. A dead marriage to a drunk who whispered another woman's name, and she stayed, because being queen was worth far more than being happy. Now watch the Rose do the exact same thing, 3 times over. Renly, Joffrey, Tommen, 3 husbands in the space of a few years, and not one of them chosen for the man. Each marriage was a rung on the ladder. When Renly died, she climbed to Joffrey. When Joffrey choked to death at his own wedding feast, she climbed to his little brother, a child, without breaking stride. Margaery never really wanted a husband, and she was not interested in love with any of the 3. She wanted the crown, and she'd gladly marry whoever was wearing it. That is not the behaviour of Cersei's opposite. That is Cersei's own playbook, run by a younger woman. Both of them treated the marriage bed as a staircase. The only difference is that Cersei had already reached the top and learned what was up there. Margaery was still climbing, still smiling, still thinking it would be worth the pain, fighting over the same boy. Here's the bit that many viewers missed completely. Cersei and Margaery were never really fighting over a throne. They were fighting over a boy, and they were doing the exact same thing to him. Cersei ruled through her sons. She was Queen Regent for Joffrey, pulling the strings of the sadist on the throne. When he died, she moved on to the next puppet, Tommen, a soft, biddable child she could rule the kingdom through. That was her power. Not the crown on her head, but the one on her sons. And then Margaery took Tommen and ruled the kingdom through him in precisely the same way, except where Cersei used fear, Margaery used affection. Look at the 3 times these women actually speak to each other, and watch the power move across the table.
If you ever call me sister again, I'll have you strangled in your sleep.
In Season 3, Cersei is on top. Margaery takes her arm and chirps about the 2 of them becoming sisters, and Cersei walks her through the slaughter of an entire house before promising, with a smile, to have her murdered if she ever calls her sister again. The older queen, marking her territory.
He would have been your nightmare. A mother is not enough. You're still interested in being queen.
A season later, at Tommen's coronation, something strange happens. Cersei walks up to her and for once puts the knives away. She admits the thing everyone knew and no one said, that her firstborn was a monster, that he would have been Margaery's nightmare. And then, standing over the wreckage of that son, she says a mother isn't enough and asks the younger woman point blank whether she's still interested in being queen. This isn't a threat anymore. but a handover. Two queens, almost as equals now, negotiating custody of the same little boy.
I wish we had some wine for you. It's a bit early in the day for her. What's the proper way to address you now? Queen Mother or Dowager Queen?
And by season 5, the power has crossed all the way over. Margaery, fresh from the new king's bed, receives Cersei like a guest she didn't much want. She offers her no wine and then, sweet as anything, asks what she's supposed to call her now. 3 scenes. The older queen on top, then level, then beneath, with the crown passing from one contestant to the next, exactly as the witch promised it would.
It's so wonderful to have her watching over you, a lioness guarding her cub.
And listen to how Margaery takes the boy. She lies beside Tommen and coos about how wonderful it is to have his mother watching over him, a lioness guarding her cub. It sounds like warmth. She's teaching a child to see his own mother as something that smothers, something to grow out of, so that he'll lean on his wife instead. Cersei ruled Tommen by making him afraid of the world around him, while Margaery ruled Tommen by making him feel like a man. The faith ruined both. Now pay close attention to what happens next, because this is where the two roads become one. Cersei, watching the younger queen take her son and her power, does the most Cersei thing imaginable. She reaches for a weapon. She goes to a starving fanatic in the slums, the High Sparrow, and she puts a sword back in the hand of the Faith Militant, an army of zealots the crown had kept disarmed for hundreds of years. In the books, it's even barer than this. In A Feast for Crows, Cersei dreams of Maggy's prophecy all over again, hears that line about the younger, more beautiful queen, and the moment she wakes, she starts planning how to have Margaery killed. She arms the Faith for one purpose, to destroy her reflection, and for a moment, it looks like it's working. The Faith takes Margaery, drags her out of the throne room and throws her into a cell. In the books, Cersei actually allows herself to gloat, believing that the younger queen is finished, and she's slipped the prophecy at last. But when you aim a weapon at your reflection, it tends to come back on you. She walks into that prison to savour her rival's captivity, and walks out in shackles herself. The zealots she armed don't care that she's a queen. They have their own god, and their own list, and her name is on it now too. Stripped, shorn, and marched naked through the streets where the small folk once cheered for Margaery's charity. Here's the difference between these two women, and it's the only real one. Margaery ruled by being loved. She bent the knee to the faith, played the saint, tried to manage the monster. Cersei ruled by being feared. She armed the monster as a weapon and pointed it at her targets. One knelt, one drew the sword, but the faith devoured them both within a year of each other, the Sept of Baelor. Which brings us to the morning Cersei decided she would rather burn everything than lose the game. She doesn't go to her trial. Instead, she fills the tunnels beneath the Great Sept with wildfire and turns the whole thing to green flame. Margaery, her brother, the High Sparrow, half the nobility of King's Landing, gone in a single flash. And here's the part that should make your skin crawl. Wildfire under the city was the Mad King's plan. Aerys Targaryen, burn them all, the very monster the realm spent a generation trying to forget. The woman who spent her whole life terrified of being cast down by something monstrous lit the match herself. To kill her younger reflection, Cersei became the thing every queen in this story is supposed to fear, and it cost her the only thing she ever fought for. Both women spent years fighting over Tommen, and in the end, Cersei's fire is what sends him over the ledge. The last of her 3 golden children, gone, exactly as a witch told her in the mud when she was young enough not to believe it. She wins. She sits the Iron Throne at last, crowned in black, the younger queen reduced to ash, and she has never been more completely the cold, ruthless, friendless thing she always was underneath. She didn't defeat the prophecy, but fulfilled it. She just got to be the one who cast herself down. The twist. Westeros doesn't make different queens. It makes the same one, over and over, and feeds each one to the next. Margaery was Cersei's past, the climber, the smiler, the girl certain the throne would be worth it. And out across the sea, even as the Sept still smouldered, the real threat, the other, younger, more beautiful queen, was already on her way to Westeros with 3 dragons. Cersei was never fighting rivals. She spent her entire life fighting her own reflection, and the only version of it she ever managed to destroy took soul with it. So go back and watch any scene with the 2 of them. The threat in the Sept, the wine she wouldn't pour, the smile across the throne room. You will never see a rivalry again. You'll see one woman battling with her own ghost. So, which moment hit you hardest? The threat in the Sept? The wine and Queen Mother insult? Or the wildfire? Drop it in the comments. I want to know which one you liked most. And if you want more of this, the patterns the show buried under scenes you've watched a dozen times, subscribe. There are more of these mirrors reflecting hidden truths than most people realize. We'll find the next one together.